All right, y'all, another quickie video here for something I just bought just recently, but I feel warrants a video, especially considering my absolutely like satisfactory, I don't know, performance with this gun and just how much I personally have grown to like it. And the firearm in question is this one right here. This is a Henry 22 lever action. Pretty basic. It's pretty much their most basic model. But I've added a scope on there, so this does not come with the gun, of course. But yeah, it's your pretty basic Henry 22 lever action. I believe the model number is the H001. Just totally no frills, super basic baseline model. And I have been hankering for one of these things for quite a long time because I have really grown to like lever actions a lot more, um, especially because I have a Rossi R92 that I bought at a gun show for a really good deal. It chambered in 357 Magnum, and I really like that gun. But also because a very good friend of mine has an older Henry, a nicer Henry. I think his has like the octagonal barrel and everything, but I believe that Henry belonged to his grandmother, and then his grandmother passed it on to him. And that gun is just absolutely just sweet. It is super smooth. It is just a really nice gun, and I had a lot of good times when I go out to the desert or whatever to go shoot with my friend there. We would have really good times just shooting that gun, and so I was very impressed by the level of quality that comes with a Henry because uh, before this rifle, I've owned exactly 0 Henrys. The only lever gun I've ever owned has been that Rossi R92, which, while it is a nice gun, Rossi is not exactly a name that you associate with like high quality stuff. It works, but it's not exactly super duper high quality. It's a little rough around the edges. But so I've been looking for one of these for a long time because I really liked my buddy's example of it, and I just really wanted to get one of my own. So, um, but as luck would have it, the time that I go out to actually go and get one, all the stores I usually go to were completely out of any lever action 22. I was very sad about that. So I waited a little while, and then while I'm doing my usual rounds around town, my favorite shop just happened to have this one sitting there, and they just got it in that day, pretty much. And so I bought it. I really didn't need to, honestly. um, this gun was definitely not a need gun. Oops, hit the table there. But it's one of those just nice to have. Not everything I purchase needs a purpose. It's just nice to have, man. And yeah, so I bought it and took it out. And my first session, I put about, oh gosh, I want to say like 350 rounds through this thing, which is a lot when you consider a lever action that holds about 15 to 16 rounds of 22 LR. That took me about, oh gosh, I want to say like 4 hours or so, like basically an entire afternoon. I just spent at the range just shooting just this one gun, nothing else. And honestly, I didn't even realize that time had flown by that fast because I was having that much fun with this gun. So if that's not enough of an endorsement, I don't know what is. But yeah, very impressed with this gun. Like just straight up, like no spoiler, well, no surprise or drama or anything like that. No clickbait, anything. I really like this gun for a number of reasons. So the first reason is anyone who has handled a Henry rifle will probably tell you the actions on these things are freaking smooth, man. They are absolutely very smooth. I'm going to try to demonstrate that here for you. It probably will not come across very well because you honestly you need a little bit of the tactile feedback yourself to really understand just how smooth these things are. But as you can see, hammer is all the way forward. Okay, so normally when you're cycling a lever action, if you have to overcome the hammer here, the action tends to be a little bit heavier because you have to overcome the hammer spring. So, but this is just so effortless. It's just like that. You know, I'm like really not even trying with that. Super smooth. There's no stacking anywhere in this. There's no like points of resistance. There's no anything. It's just smooth all the way through. Even pulling back on the initial hammer pullback, right? It just doesn't. I don't know. There's no resistance at all. It's so freaking smooth. And I love that about this gun because for the price you pay for these things, which is normally around 300 to 325, especially now, um, you'd expect a lot rougher action. Like if you look at like the Rossi Gallery guns, the Rossi like pump kind of lever gun looking things, even the Rossi lever guns themselves, or the Mossberg 464 22 lever actions. Those things are rough. They're very rough. You can hear and feel the curt chunk, as you're cycling, and it's not very smooth. I don't know how Henry does it, but these are very, very, very smooth all the way through the travel of the lever. Just absolutely phenomenal. I love it to death. The trigger on these things. So the trigger on my buddy's rifle, his Henry 22, is a lot better than mine. But then again, that gun has been in his family for I don't know how many years. Old gun. It's had untold thousands of rounds through it, so it's well worn. This one's brand new, and I will say it's not what you would call a match trigger. It's not as good as my CZ 457 trigger, but with a lot of single action type triggers, especially with these lever guns, they tend to be pretty good. It's not going to be a super duper heavy like mil spec AR trigger. It's not going to be like a double action only type pull trigger, that kind of weight. It's just right. I wouldn't say it's like, ultra match quality like hair trigger, like you breathe on it wrong and it goes off, but it's light enough to get the job done. So trigger is not bad. Lever action is just super freaking smooth on these things. And so that brings me to I guess like the how to shoot, the accuracy portion. So as anybody knows, with 22 LR, there is a crazy amount of 22 ammunition out there in the sense of like different types and how they shoot. So every 22 gun is going to like a different kind of ammo. My CZ457, for instance, really likes the Federal Auto Match ammo, the Federal Auto Match bulk that comes in those big like 325 round like cardboard boxes or whatever. Loves that stuff. Shoots it really good. This one tends to like Aguila Supermax, Aguila bulk ammunition, I should say. It's like the 40 grain high velocity bulk pack stuff you find in like the 500 round cardboard boxes. It tends to like this stuff actually, which is surprising because a lot of other guns don't tend to really shoot it all that well. But this one does all right with it. It really likes Norma 22 TAC 22 match ammunition. It really likes that stuff. This thing just eats it up and it shoots it very accurately. CCI standard velocity tends to do okay. Pretty consistent performance across all of my rifles with that stuff. I think CCI standard velocity is very nice ammo. I wish it cycled semi-autos a little bit more reliably, but for manual actions like lever actions or bolt action rifles, it works just fine. Very consistent. Love that stuff. But I tested a huge variety of ammunition that I have because I've got a big 22 LR stash because it's pretty much all you can afford to shoot right now, provided you can even find 22 LR to begin with, which is crazy when you think about that. It reminds me of the Obama years when 22 LR was extremely hard to find. So, but I tested a lot of different kinds of ammunition through this. It cycled everything just fine. I even, one thing in particular I really love doing with these lever actions is Aguila 22 Calibri rounds, right? So I take those things and I can fit about 20, 21, 22 if I'm really careful. Like a 21 plus 1, I can fit that in this gun and it cycles and feeds those all day long. In fact, when I was at the range and I was testing out the Aguilas with this gun, I'm sitting there and I have a target set out at about 10 yards. Just iron sights. I didn't have the scope on it at the time, and standing up, just shooting this thing. And the range officer comes up to me. He's like, "Why do you have your target so close if you're shooting a rifle like that?" And I said, "Just watch what I'm shooting here." So I'm standing up, shooting it, and I have the Aguila Calibres in there. I just pow, the gun doesn't even move. It just, and then I cycle the action, and a casing flies out. And he's looking at me, and he's like, "Why'd you cycle the action? You didn't shoot anything. There wasn't anything in the chamber. I don't understand what you're doing." And I said, "No, sir. It did actually shoot. You can see in the target right there, because I had little shoot and see targets. There's a little hole right there. So let me demonstrate that for you again. So I had it all lined up and just cycle it, and then just pow. The sound of the hammer hitting the bolt in the back is louder than the round going off. So, and sure enough, you see on the shoot and see target just another hole here. Cycle the action, casing flies out. He's like, "I don't understand. Is that like interlude suppressed or something?" I said, No. So I go over to my ammo stash and I show him the little itty bitty tiny 22 Calibres. I'm like, "That's what I'm shooting." And I said, "I want you to watch this too." So that day it was particularly just super windy. So and the berm goes out to about 50 yards. So I took this and I aimed just not on my target, but over out by the berm. And I said, "I want you to watch the end of the barrel here and see where the round goes, because you can see it." So I go and pull the trigger, and it goes off, and you see this tiny little black dot go up into the distance, and then the wind starts to blow, and you can actually see the bullet being caught by the wind and actually being blown off target into a different part of the berm. And I'm like, "Hey, did you see that?" And he's like, "Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool." So it was his first time seeing 22 Calibres being shot out of a lever gun. It's seriously so quiet and so underpowered that you could probably plink with this in your backyard. I'm not saying you should, based on your local laws and ordinances and blah blah blah. I'm not saying you should discharge a firearm within city limits, but I'm just saying there are certain individuals who probably have done that before. I'm not going to say who, just certain individuals. So that's one thing I really love about lever actions like this, is that you can feed those 22 Calibres just fine. Some bolt actions have trouble dealing with those because of like the magazine design, because the round is so short, the rounds can actually get stuck or not feed correctly. Semi-autos don't cycle it at all. I've tried in my 10-22, doesn't work. But lever actions like this feeds it just fine, which I think is super cool. So another bonus, I guess, to the Henry 22 lever action is that you can feed Calibres all day long. I also fed Super Calibres to this thing, worked just fine. Everything I fed through this gun worked just fine. So as far as accuracy goes, I was very impressed by this, actually. So even with the iron sights, I was getting 1 inch at 50 yards with the CCI standard velocity. I was getting 1 inch at 50 yards with these big old bulky iron sights here. Buckhorn style sights. Still getting 1 inch at 50 yards. Really impressed by that. Very happy with how accurate this thing proved to be. But I really wanted to see just how far it could go. So I went to DIP, which I forget what it stands for, but DIP makes a lot of scope rail type products, aluminum based products, things like that. They have their own website. And there's also the folks that I bought my CZ457 pick rail, top rail, same guys I bought it from. So I figured, hey, these guys make really good stuff. Do they have one for the Henry? And sure enough, they do. So as you can see here, I have a pick rail mounted on the top of the receiver there. That's not standard. Standard, there's a 3/8 inch dovetail into the top of the receiver here, and this pick rail that I bought from DIP attaches itself through 6 like little hex set screw bolts, and you just screw that thing down in there, and it sets on the receiver through tension. Basically, there's no drilling needed, there's no tapping, none of that. You don't have to alter the receiver. You just put that thing on, screw it down really good, and keep it there. So very happy to see that they actually made a product like that. And even with this pick rail on here, you can still use the iron sights. So thumbs up to DIP for making really good products like that. I've been very happy with them. So with the pick rail on, I decided to get one of my scopes and put it on here. This is just a very basic Leopold VX Freedom 3-9 scope. Super basic. I have like 2 of these things lying around in different mounts, And obviously this is not a dedicated scope setup for this type of gun because it sits way too high, but it's what I had on hand. I didn't feel like going out and buying a whole other scope setup and rings and getting it all mounted and everything. I just wanted something quick, fast, in a hurry. So that's what I did. So this is not an ideal scope setup by any means, but it's what I had on hand, and it actually worked quite well. So I took this out to 50 yards, and I'm sitting there on the bench, and it's a little awkward to bench lever actions because you got to have some clearance here for the lever action. So I have the sandbags pretty much rested all in this area here on the receiver. And then when I had to cycle it, I pulled the rifle back, cycle the action, push it back forward, so the bags are resting here on the front of the lever. You know, push it against there, get a little bit of tension, and just, you know, keep doing my thing. So it worked, and at 50 yards, the most accurate ammunition I shot out of this thing was the Norma TAC-22 match ammo, and I got a, what was it, a 0.6 inch group at 50 yards, which is pretty dang impressive, I gotta say, for basically a $300 rifle lever action. You know, that's really awesome. And I really think it could do better because the pattern that it made out of the 5 shots that I shot, it was basically a horizontal string of shots. And that was probably just me, because there was a significant mirage that day, and this optic here is not really suited for 50 yards. It's suited for a little bit further than that. So I had some focus issues. So all that taken together, it was probably more me than the rifle itself. So I imagine this rifle is more accurate than 0.6 inches at 50 yards, but that's still pretty impressive for a 22 rifle, shooting some pretty high quality ammunition, especially a lever action, which was, you know, not designed to ever be a target rifle, not like a, you know, your super expensive CZ rifles or Anschutz or, you know, whatever crazy company, you know, where you're getting the same hole in hole at 50 yards, right? This one actually did pretty dang well, and I was very surprised by that, but also pleasantly surprised. So for what you're getting, for what you're paying, this Henry rifle is just an incredible value, I think. Even in today's prices, where you can see these things sitting in shops for, you know, maybe as much as $350 even before tax, I'd say that this gun definitely punches above its weight, and I really enjoy it. I don't mind the fact that these things were probably like, I want to say $275 like a couple years ago, but for what I paid, these things are just high value guns. They shoot well. They're a ton of fun. The actions are super smooth. They're quite accurate. The trigger is okay. It's not the greatest trigger in the world, but it's serviceable. And the fact that you can put a modern pick rail here on top makes it very easy to mount your favorite optics if you so choose. But even if you don't, it still has pretty robust irons here for a very, shall we say, like sleek and kind of all-in-one kind of package. So I am quite happy with this gun and this purchase, and it really makes me want to get more Henrys, to be honest. So I really hope that maybe in the future I'll be able to get a 22 model that has like a threaded barrel, maybe a pick rail built on the top of it or something like that. I don't know, something more modern, tactical, right? Just for fun, because I really I bet this thing with a 22 can on this. Oh my gosh, I bet that would be so much fun. But yeah, really happy with this gun. Now, there are some things though that it's not all positives. There are some negatives, and the negatives are there seems to be a significant lack of aftermarket. So particularly when it comes to the wood stocks here, while they do say, Henry does advertise these are real American walnut stocks, and it's nice. It's nice enough, sure. I think this is kind of basic, you know. It's kind of bland, and I was looking online for something maybe a little bit nicer, like a nice checkered wood. I would really like checkering on this to make it feel a lot better, high quality, you know, just more sporty, I guess, right? I could not find anything for these things. I could not find aftermarket stocks for these. The fancy stocks are only for a different model of this gun, not the base model, so that kind of sucks. There's just nothing out there for it. So I was a little disappointed about that. Also, from the factory, these things do not come with any way to attach a sling, which I think is maybe a bit of an oversight. I don't think it would take much for them to drill a like a sling stud here in the bottom, and have a sling stud here on the front barrel band. I don't think it would take them too much to do that. Now Henry does sell sling mounting kits for that, but that's kind of something I feel like should be included from the factory. That's just my opinion. Also, the finish or texture quality on the magazine tube itself is a little lackluster. So this tube right here, it's not very noticeable here in this light, but if you've seen one of these in person and have it in the sun and actually feel the texture of it, it's quite rough actually, and it doesn't really inspire a whole lot of confidence. Like I feel like if there was something that was going to rust on this gun first, it would absolutely be the magazine tube. Which it's kind of a shame. I really wish it would be a nicer finish, like maybe something like the barrel band, or maybe just glue it all the way through, just like the barrel is, right? And just go through and do it on the magazine tube there. So a little disappointing there, but it's not a huge deal. I mean, I take care of my guns and I preserve them pretty well, so I don't expect that'll be an issue. But just some things there. As far as for sights though, there's oh man, aftermarket for sights of these things. There's a ton of stuff you can do with these. Tons of options for however which way you want to set these things up. I mean, like I said, I got a pick rail on here, so the possibilities are endless, really. So that's pretty cool. I would have preferred if they had a threaded barrel, but I understand this is the super basic model, so I'm not too out of the way about that. But yeah, overall, this thing is an absolute joy to shoot. I've only had this thing for like a week or two, and I've already put like almost 800 rounds through this gun alone. That's how much I enjoy shooting this thing. It is quickly become one of my absolute favorite 22 rifles next to my CZ457. This thing definitely has a place there too, because let's face it, lever actions are just fun. And if you're trying to get into lever actions, you're not quite sure if they're all that fun, or you're just wondering what the rage is all about, right? Literally, just get one of these Henry 22s, because they don't cost a whole lot, and you can get a really nice, very, very nice lever action experience for not a whole lot of money. So, and it shoots a pretty cheap caliber too, provided you can find it. So, totally. This is a very, very high recommend. I love this gun, and I plan to do some more things with it. What I really, really want to do is, when I get the time and the money, is this whole receiver cover here, because this is a receiver cover. It's like a big piece of metal that slides off. I want to get that Cerakoted a nice blue color, because if you've ever seen like Beretta's really nice fancy semi-auto shotguns, they have like the nice wood and everything, and the long barrel, the blue barrel and everything, but the receiver itself is like this metallic blue color, and I really think that would look nice on something like this. And maybe I'll find a gunsmith or somebody who can do some checkering and just get this custom checkered, because like I said, there's no aftermarket options for these stocks. It's a little disappointing. But I can always pay somebody to do that, really, really trick this thing out and make it more personal to me, and just make it mine, because I really don't intend to sell this rifle. It's just cool. It's dandy. It's a whole lot of fun. It's very, very accurate. It shoots very well. There's just almost nothing bad to say about this gun. I really, really like it, and I'm very, very glad that I went out and got this thing. So I have my friend to thank for introducing me to Henry rifles, because his rifle that he has is way nicer than mine, but this one still holds up pretty well. I'm very, very happy with the purchase that I made. So if this is not any endorsement of the rest of the Henry rifles, I haven't tried the centerfire Henry rifles, but I mean, if they're all as good as this one is, dude, I want to get some more. So I don't care what people say about lever actions have no place in the modern world. You can just get a semi-auto, blah, blah, blah. I think they are missing out on something. So lever actions are just fun. And besides, I live in Arizona, okay? So it's just something you kind of have to do. You got to get a single action revolver. You got to get that cowboy revolver. You got to get that lever action. You just got to do it, man. When in Rome, as they say. So Anyway, that's all I gotta say about this this very, very nice rifle that I'm very pleased with, especially for the money. So I hope to get some more Henry rifles in the future, because I really want to see if they're all as good as this one here. Uh, yeah, I'm very interested in doing that, especially now that Henry is doing the side-loading gates into their rifles instead of just the magazine tube. Love that. Much, much, much preferred. But anyway, yeah, this thing is absolute home run. Totally recommend, love it, and recommend it for people out there who maybe don't have a lever action, never tried lever actions before, or maybe you just want another 22 rifle. So, because we can always use another 22 rifle, I think. So, anyway, that's all I gotta say about that, and we'll catch you next time.